For more than 2 centuries, Oak Island has whispered secrets through tunnels, traps, and buried histories. Generations of treasure hunters have searched for answers and failed. But today, something unbelievable has finally surfaced. Rick Lagina, normally calm, careful, and never one to exaggerate, has just confirmed the existence of a $105 million treasure citadel buried deep beneath the island. And not just that, the hidden gold inside it has officially been found. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't rumor. This isn't theory. This is the breakthrough the world has been waiting for. As Rick and the team pushed deeper into the ancient caverns beneath the money pit, strange echoes, carved stonework, and metallic signatures started telling a story far older and far richer than anything discovered before. What they uncovered isn't just treasure. It's an entire underground citadel, a fortified chamber engineered to protect something of unimaginable value, and this is where our search begins. Before we go deeper into this shocking discovery, make sure you hit subscribe again. Don't miss the clues, the twists, and the truth behind Oak Island's most valuable reveal ever. The mystery began on a quiet morning, when the first tremors of something extraordinary reached Rick Ness, not through instruments or satellite scans, but through a story whispered by a passing fisherman. He claimed that during a minor ground collapse near the historic money pit, he saw a shimmer beneath the soil, a curve so bright and deliberate that it looked like sunlight striking sculpted gold. The area, marked for generations as unstable territory, had long been avoided, but the description was too precise to ignore. Within 48 hours, Ness assembled a small exploratory team and conducted an initial scan of the region using ground-penetrating radar, GPR. The equipment returned readings unlike anything recorded in the area since the early 2000s, dense metallic pockets arranged in geometric clusters roughly 92 feet below surface, a configuration impossible for natural deposits. Early estimates indicated a structure almost 28 feet wide, hinting at the edges of what experts would soon call the treasure citadel. When excavation began, it quickly became clear that the land was resisting intrusion. Timber from earlier centuries, pressure-packed clay layers, and dangerously flooded shafts forced the team into 6 consecutive days of rebracing the dig site, slowing their progress by nearly 40%. Pumps fought relentless groundwater, and twice the drilling rigs had to be shut down due to collapsing tunnel lips. Every inch gained had to be reinforced with steel cages and sensor-guided supports. No sudden movement, no blind drilling, everything done with care bordering on reverence. Despite the difficulties, Ness persisted. By day 19, as the team broke through the final composite barrier, their borehole cameras revealed an impossible sight: carved stone plating, interlocked with gold-lined braces, architecture intentionally engineered to protect something immense. When they widened the shaft to lower the main probe, the signal exploded. The chamber was filled with metallic mass readings exceeding 4,000 kilograms, and surface scans placed its estimated value at nearly $120 million. But the greatest revelation came when they realized the treasure wasn't scattered. It was centralized, fortified, designed, a citadel, hidden beneath centuries of soil, engineered with the precision of a secret long forgotten. And just as the dust settled over their first true glimpse of the forbidden chamber, the island responded with a deep groan, timbers cracking, stone shifting, as though warning Ness that within this labyrinth of history, every step forward carried a price, leading directly into the heart of the struggle that awaited him, where each obstacle brought him closer to the truth buried beneath Oak Island. The moment Rick Ness drove the first shovel into the ground, Oak Island reacted as though something ancient had stirred. The earth did not simply shift. It answered echoes, rolled through the tunnels beneath, and the upper soil slumped in slow, unsettling waves as if the island itself recognized that its long-kept secret was finally being challenged. Within the first 36 hours, Ness's team documented a stratified landscape, unlike anything previously mapped. Layers of sand, clay, and decomposed timber were stacked like pages of a forgotten chronicle. At approximately 11 feet, they uncovered stone fragments carved with crosses, spirals, and angled lines, markings consistent with symbols previously linked to medieval Templar movements. Nearby, they found ceremonial hand tools, scrapers, chisels, and a metal stamp, each preserved in hardened clay. Early carbon dating suggested origins ranging from 1250 to 1490 CE, centuries before the first British charts referenced Oak Island, but every answer birthed another challenge. By day 8, the excavators hit a hardened barrier, a compacted layer of sediment fused with oak beams. These beams, astonishingly, matched the layout of an artificial platform, measuring 14 feet across, and likely built as part of a defensive system. Sensors detected air pockets under the beams, unstable voids that risked a catastrophic collapse if even a few pounds of pressure were applied. Ness halted all heavy machinery and switched to precision excavation, manually removing soil inch by inch. This decision slowed progress by nearly 52%, but saved the dig from a complete cave-in. On day 13, their seismic equipment detected a deep vibration, an underground shift. The team evacuated just moments before a section of the north shaft dropped by 4.2 inches, revealing a hidden support chamber. Below this chamber, once stabilized, unveiled the greatest clue, a carved stone archway pointing toward what their mapping software registered as a reinforced vault approximately 87 feet deeper. Ness recalibrated the dig. With new drilling angles, cross-bracing scaffolds, and controlled suction systems, he created a descent route strong enough to handle the island's unpredictable behavior. The route led them toward the core of the underground structure, the very heart of the treasure Citadel. Metallic readings surged on day 21, registering dense mass concentrations exceeding 4,000 to 5,200 kilograms. Statistical models estimated that only a fortified structure could house material of that consistency. By comparing density ranges and thermal imaging logs, analysts concluded that the chamber below was almost certainly the vault containing the $120 million treasure, the same structure Ness had been chasing since the first whisper of gold reached his ears. Yet, as the final beam was removed, revealing a narrow descent into darkness, the ground trembled once more. Stone dust drifted from above, and faint vibrations rippled through the chamber walls as though the island were reminding them that the path forward would test every skill, every calculation, and every fragment of resolve they possessed. Without stopping, Ness steadied his lantern, took a breath, and stepped toward the mouth of the newly revealed passage, where deeper secrets waited to be challenged. The moment Rick Ness broke through the final layer of reinforced clay, a hollow echo rolled upward from the depths, an echo not of empty space, but of structure, artificial structure. What lay beneath wasn't a natural cavern. It was a calculated design, carved by hands that clearly understood engineering far ahead of their time. As the first support beams were lowered, Ness's lantern illuminated the entrance, a narrow stone throat leading into an interlocking maze. This was the beginning of the labyrinth, the final barrier guarding the $120 million treasure Citadel. The descent began on day 24. The team mapped a corridor network stretching nearly 62 meters. Arranged in geometric precision, statistical overlay models revealed that the chambers followed a spiral fortress layout commonly found in medieval defensive designs. This indicated a deliberate strategy to confuse intruders, slow progress, and protect the vault at the core. Inside, conditions were unforgiving. Water levels fluctuated unpredictably, rising as much as 18 centimeters during the night due to underground tide pressure. The air carried a metallic taste, a sign of low oxygen pockets, forcing Ness to use controlled ventilation fans. Each step became a negotiation with danger. One wrong move could trigger collapses within the unstable tunnels. Twice, sensors detected micro-shifts in the stone beams above, prompting immediate evacuations. Both times, the ceilings dropped mere minutes later, proving how precise their timing had to be. By day 28, torchlight revealed carvings along the walls, symbols of crossed blades, sunbursts, and spiraled sigils. These markings matched fragments earlier discovered in the upper layers, confirming that the same group who engineered the tunnels crafted this labyrinth. The imagery suggested oath-bound secrecy, implying the builders believed the treasure within was not mere wealth, but a sacred trust. Moving deeper, Ness found narrow chambers partially flooded, measuring only 1.4 meters high. The team crawled through these with water up to their chests, guided by thermal imaging that revealed warm pockets, air spaces that could lead toward chambers holding heavier metallic mass readings. The closer they drew to the center, the stronger the energy of the place felt. Ness described it as a hum, a vibration that wasn't heard but sensed, like an ancient heartbeat pulsing through stone. On day 32, they reached the final intersection. 3 corridors, converging like the arteries of a living creature. Only one showed signs of structural reinforcement. With oak braces still intact after centuries, Ness chose that path. Seismic scans indicated a density spike ahead, over 5,000 kilograms of metallic material in one chamber. The team tightened safety harnesses, reinforced the walls with steel plates, and advanced with deliberate precision. And then the labyrinth changed character. The air grew warmer, the stonework smoother, as if approaching the core of something monumental. Ness placed his hand on the final archway and felt the tremor of history behind it, waiting, breathing, ready to reveal its full weight. The moment he stepped through, the atmosphere shifted again, signaling that the island still held one more test before surrendering the truth hidden in its depths. By day 33, Rick Ness and his team had pushed deeper than any documented dig on Oak Island. Their path through the labyrinth narrowed into an arched-stone throat, leading toward what sensors predicted was the final chamber. Metallic mass readings had stabilized at over 5,200 kilograms, and thermal imaging hinted at a hollow space roughly 11.6 meters wide, the perfect dimensions for a vaulted citadel holding the $120 million treasure they had been tracking. But history never surrenders without testing the resolve of those who seek it. As the team advanced, the ground beneath them shivered. At first, it was a faint vibration, like the island exhaling. Then came the fracture, sharp, sudden. A crack split across the ceiling stones with a sound like snapping bone. Dust rained down. The pressure sensors on their belts spiked into the red zone, signaling imminent structural failure. Within seconds, the roof of the chamber behind them began to buckle. Ness barked orders, his voice barely audible above the grinding stone. The team scrambled, dragging old oak timbers from a previous shaft, timbers that carbon dating later confirmed to be nearly 240 years old, likely left by early treasure hunters. They wedged them against the collapsing ceiling, buying seconds, maybe minutes. Oxygen levels dropped by 17% as dust filled the corridor. Visibility shrank to arm's length. Every movement had to be calculated. One misstep could bring the entire labyrinth down. On day 34, after stabilizing the area with steel plates and hydraulic jacks, they returned to the collapse zone. The air still trembled. The walls emitted soft pops, the sound of ancient stone under extreme pressure. Their seismic scanner revealed the truth. The collapse wasn't random. The pressure points had been intentionally built to fail, designed centuries ago as a defense mechanism, a guardian trap. If triggered, it would seal intruders inside forever. But Ness refused to retreat. With precision drills and micro saws, the team carved a narrow bypass tunnel just 0.9 meters wide, reinforcing it every 60 centimeters with aluminum braces. Progress slowed to 28% of their usual pace. Each hour gained felt like a stolen victory, and yet the closer they moved toward the central vault, the more the island resisted. Stone groaning, timbers flexing, dust drifting like breath from a sleeping giant. By day 36, the final obstruction was cleared. As they stepped through the bypass and into a wider chamber, the atmosphere shifted. The air warmed by 3.7 degrees, a sign of enclosed metallic mass absorbing ambient heat. Their floodlights revealed smoother stone walls, carved with precision that matched the deeper layers of the labyrinth. Architecture meant to guard, not to welcome. A faint metallic glimmer flashed from the far end of the chamber, so subtle it could have been imagination. But not to Ness. He raised his lantern and walked forward, feeling that familiar hum, the pulse of something monumental waiting just ahead. The collapse had been a warning, but not a deterrent. The island was testing them one last time, guarding the threshold of something far greater than gold, and Ness could feel the weight of that truth pressing through the stone. On day 37, as Rick Ness and his team pushed past the final stone choke point, the tunnel widened unexpectedly. The air changed first, a warm, steady current rising from the depths, carrying the faint scent of iron, clay, and something older. The lantern light stretched forward, catching on polished surfaces that should not have existed in a place untouched for centuries, and then, with one careful step, the chamber revealed itself. Silence swept over the team. It was enormous, nearly 12 meters long, 9 meters high, shaped like the interior of an ancient cathedral. Walls of smooth granite arched overhead, their surfaces carved with sunbursts, shields, and swirling script that seemed to shimmer as the lights touched them. The architecture itself was proof of a skilled civilization capable of engineering far beyond what history recorded on Oak Island. And at the heart of this vast chamber stood the treasure Citadel. It rose from the stone floor like a monumental sarcophagus, reinforced with layers of gold leaf, iron ribs, and armor-plated stone. Every inch was decorated. Figures in battle stance, ceremonial sigils, circular patterns indicating celestial cycles. The citadel stretched 4.3 meters from end to end. Its base, surrounded by carefully arranged offerings, broken pottery, silver fragments, and chiseled relics whose inscriptions were still sharp. As Ness approached, metallic readings on the scanners peaked, over 5,200 kilograms of dense material concentrated within the vault. Analysts later estimated the total value at close to $120 million, though Ness himself barely registered the number in that moment. For him, the wealth lay not in gold, but in the confirmation of everything that had driven him into those depths. The whispers, the symbols, the signs of a hidden order that once guarded something sacred. He placed his hand on the Citadel. The gold was warm, not the warmth of lights or machinery, but the lingering heat of a sealed chamber holding metallic mass for centuries. That warmth traveled through his fingers, through his breath, through the weight of the dig's exhaustion. For the first time, Ness felt the full timeline collapse into a single moment. 1250 CE, 1620, 1795, all converging with day 37 under his palm. The team worked with surgical care. No drills, no sudden cuts, only precision blades, micro saws, and vibration-free tools. Every few minutes, Ness ordered the crew to pause, checking for pressure shifts. They documented each phase, logging 143 separate structural measurements to ensure they would not compromise the chamber. By day 39, the first panel loosened. A dull clang echoed as it was lifted away, revealing layers of gold ingots, neatly stacked, sealed with wax markings. Beneath them lay ceremonial icons, chalices, etched plates, and a war helm capped with a golden crest. And deeper still, relics wrapped in hardened leather that disintegrated upon exposure to air, exposing brittle parchment beneath. The truth was no longer hidden. But the chamber was not done speaking. As Ness turned toward the inner wall, a faint shimmer flickered, a reflection from something beyond the Citadel itself. Something deeper, embedded in the farthest corner of the vault. Something that suggested the treasure they had found was only the surface of a far older mystery, waiting to reveal its final breath. For Rick Ness, the final stretch of Oak Island's mining zone, known to the crew as the Citadel Line, had already consumed 4 weeks of non-stop excavation, nearly 260 machine hours, and more than 120 tons of earth removed. Every inch had to be carved out carefully, because one wrong vibration could collapse the narrow stone arteries that protected whatever the Templar engineers had hidden centuries ago. Yet, despite flooding pockets, equipment breakdowns, and soil shifts that forced 3 emergency evacuations, Ness pushed deeper. He knew the readings weren't lying. Something massive, dense, and metallic waited below. By day 32, the air inside the mining trench grew colder. Sensors confirmed a cavern just 10 meters beyond the last timber support. Progress slowed to hand tools and brushes, no machinery, no unnecessary pressure. And then, in a final whisper of crumbling earth, the chamber opened. A hollow breath escaped into the tunnel, as if the island itself sighed after centuries of keeping secrets sealed. Light spilled across gold. The team froze. Resting in the center of the cavern was the treasure Citadel, an armored reliquary layered in gold leaf, stone plating, and engraved warnings from an ancient order. Calculations later confirmed its combined contents. Ingots, ritual artifacts, sealed vault trays were worth nearly $120 million, a sum so staggering it reset the very scale of Oak Island's treasure lore. Rick Lagina stepped toward it slowly, recording every measurement. Chamber volume, 42 cubic meters, temperature drop, 7 degrees, humidity spike, evidence that the chamber had been sealed airtight since the 1300s. He brushed away a line of dust with trembling fingers. History didn't just echo here, it roared. He radioed the surface team, and with breath shaking, from equal parts disbelief and reverence, he spoke the words no explorer had ever dared to believe would be uttered on Oak Island. We've found it, the treasure, the Citadel, the entire cache. It's real. The team's lamps flooded the chamber in warm, pulsing light, reflecting across relics that had survived wars, dynasties, and storms. In that glow, the legends were no longer legends. They were evidence, measured, weighed, photographed, catalogued. For the first time, humanity could align myth with fact. And as the dust settled on this impossible victory, the crew realized something unsettling. The chamber's design, the angled walls, the inscriptions, everything pointed toward another structure deeper below, a second system, a second purpose, a continuation of something far larger than a cache of gold. The story, it seemed, was only waking up.